Namaste, dear listeners, and welcome to the Iowa channel Astro In with Abhi. Oneness in astrology and spirituality, bringing in awareness by Abhi. Now, if you haven't subscribed already, please subscribe to my channel, share, like, and make sure that you share this podcast with as many people that you think will benefit from this session. I want to thank everybody that have also joined my TikTok live that I've just come out of, and that has prompted me to do a podcast on the Mercury retrograde, the don'ts during a Mercury retrograde. So I'm going to actually discuss the do's and the don'ts during a Mercury retrograde. That's the topic of discussion, and this has come purely from the live on my TikTok channel. So we're going to go straight into it. What is Mercury? Now, in order to understand what the retrograde is, we're going to discuss Mercury first. Mercury is the planet or dimension of existence that governs communication, the movement of energy, um, how energy is moving, the flow of energy. And during a retrograde, the planet Mercury is moving further away from Earth. So, definitely, the impact of Mercury is less felt. So, Mercury also governs electronics. So, therefore, during a Mercury retrograde, the ability to comprehend, the ability to speak clearly, the ability to feel a certain way, to feel to feel normal is very difficult. The ability to understand things is difficult. Communications are thwarted. What you think and what you feel versus what you say is very different. Um, And because your comprehension skills is thwarted during a Mercury retrograde, the ability to realize things is very difficult. Therefore, signing contracts is a big no-no. Now that we understand what Mercury is and what a retrograde means that the planet is moving backwards. It depends which area or life or how area of life or house or which sign the planet is retrograding in, which will be different for everybody. But fundamentally, if you look at Mercury retrograde holistically, this is not a good time for you to be signing any contracts, specifically in the first 5 days and the last 5 days of that retrograde. And I always describe that beginning and the tail of the Mercury retrograde as the most disastrous. It's not a good time for you to start taking on any new projects, for you to make any commitments. You cannot commit to something with a weak DNA of Mercury. You must remember everything that you start, you're creating life. Now you're going to create life into something with a weak DNA of Mercury, and that's never going to be favorable. So, planning any events, signing any documentation, purchasing anything of electric or significant value, like cars, vehicles, electronics, components, signing any contracts or taking a mortgage bond for a home or buying a new home. It's not a good time for that. In fact, it's not a good time for you to start anything new. Why? Because Mercury is retrograde and Mercury governs the movement of energy. There'll be lots of difficulty back and forth, frustration during that time. And most importantly, you definitely don't want to start any new project with a weak Mercury DNA. So, what you should do during a Mercury retrograde? During a Mercury retrograde is a time for going within introspection, retrospection. It's a time for looking at everything in the past. What have you thought about? What have you done? What has not worked for you? And what needs to get out of your life? When I say get out of your life, it needs to come out of your mind first. You need to accept that this much is not good for you. This much that you have experienced hasn't been good for you. And you need to accept that as a reality. You need to come to this acceptance first. And then comes the accountability that I'm accountable for making this change. And then you start executing. There's no point executing something which you feel that you shouldn't do. You need to be of acceptance first, and acceptance becomes a very difficult thing. A lot of people accept, but they cannot act on it because they are holding on to false attachments or false identifications. They're attaching themselves to things that are not beneficial to them. Therefore, to walk away from such activities, it seems detrimental to their health, which is not true. It's purely because of entanglement. During a Mercury retrograde, it's very good to detangle yourself from everything that you've entangled yourself with. It's a very good time for letting go. It's a good time for burning the things that are not functioning in your life anymore. Burning the things that you know is detrimental to you. For example, friendships you think that have went south, that are no longer serving you and no longer serving the people around you. It's time to close that off. Cut your losses short and walk away. Also, it's a time for relationships. You know it's going south, and you've been wanting to walk away. During a Mercury retrograde, it's the best for you to be very open and honest. Express your views, but don't act on anything. During a Mercury retrograde, it's not the right time to walk away from a relationship, but it's a good time for you to express your views and things that you're not happy with. Why? Because you're making it known to the universe that you are not happy with this year. The universe generally matches you with that energy. It's a good time to assess your relationships, the grounding of your relationships. But it's not a good time for you to act and walk away from relationships. And I think it's a good time for you to start any relationship because you cannot start anything new with a weak Mercury DNA. But it's a good time for you to be communicative with your partner if you're having difficulties. But if it's nothing major, then it's good. It's a good time for you to go within and making peace with all the things that are not functioning with you. What it is, it could be your own mind that's playing games with you. You need to accept this that my mind is playing games with me. Now, what is the plan of action when your mind is playing games with you? You'd have heard from a previous podcast that meditation, you need to surrender the mind. If the mind is overreacting or overacting, you need to surrender the mind through meditation. Meditation will dissolve the overacting mind and you will find peace again. During a Mercury retrograde, what you should be doing is going back to the past and tying up all loose ends. Also, we can. This is similar to the Venus retrograde. During a Venus retrograde as well, you're going to go back to your past and start tying up all loose ends. You'll see a lot of things from the past will come back into your life. All the things that you haven't closed the doors properly on, they will come back. They will manifest back into your life for you to shut that door once for all. And this is where most human beings get confused. They start to welcome that new energy back in their life because they get that sense of adrenaline rush, that that warm feeling. Oh, maybe something can work here. Or in most cases, it's like this. This person has come back. They're saying me all nice things. Maybe they'll make something work. Listen, dear listeners, whenever a person comes back from you from the past, and if they're coming with good intentions, good. You accept that, but let it be. Don't ever take in a relationship that you have uh, walked away from, or they have walked away from you. Don't accept a relationship back during a Mercury retrograde. You're accepting it back from with a weak DNA, and this relationship, if you do accept it back, can become more disastrous than the first time. In most cases, it can happen like this. So obviously, we got to look at both kundalis or natal charts and see what's happening. But in most cases, it happens like this. You'll see a lot of people who don't know about astrology. They're just living life, which is okay. They'll tell you, you know what, I was dating this person, and this person, yeah, we split up, and then after 6 months, we got back together again. But you know what, ever since we got back together, it's been worse. This person is now violent. They see me differently. I'm starting to see myself differently. It's just gone from bad to worse. How it's gotten like that? When did you guys get back together? They give me the person gives me the date. I look at it. Okay, I see what was happening in the skies at that time. Yeah, we've got a Mercury retrograde, or we've had a Venus retrograde. Now, this is not a right time, obviously, for you to accept a relationship back. But on another given day, if you accept a relationship back, it could work. But on a Mercury retrograde, definitely you do not welcome the people back in your life to entangle yourself again with them. Definitely not. Also, during a Mercury retrograde, it's best for you to start eating simple foods like vegetables and fruit, foods that are rich in light energy. Why? Because during a Mercury retrograde, the body starts to function in a certain way where it's not getting the nutrients quick enough. Information, the Shakti is not moving fast enough how it normally would move through in the body. Because you've got a Mercury retrograde. Mercury is the Buddha. Mercury is the planet, the messenger of God, so the messenger of the movement of energy. It governs the movement of energy, and energy isn't moving fast enough. Therefore, you need to work with this and feed your body with light food to allow to cater for such happening in your system. If you eat heavy foods like meat, foods with a heavy metal, chicken, meat, and all of these kind of things, you are basically slowing your body even more, and your thinking won't be on the forefront. All right, so I can go on and on about a Mercury retrograde, but as long as we understand that during a retrograde, Mercury retrograde, the things in your home, uh, any electronic equipment, they can break. The best thing for you to do is not replace them. Wait for Mercury to go direct. In most cases, that thing that would have stopped working starts to work. But if it hasn't, then you can purchase something when Mercury is gone direct. Then you can purchase something new again. Thank you very much, dear listeners, for listening to this podcast. Please make sure that you have subscribed. Please share this channel with many people as you can, and definitely like my video, like my content. Thank you very much. Jai Shri Ram, Om Namah Shivaya, Jai Shri Krishna, and Hari Bol. Goodbye.